Dear brothers and sisters, great joy, today. Greatest joy for this solemn feast, of Jesus' ascension to heaven. A celebration we have already lived, on the day of the anniversary, last Thursday. But that we celebrate liturgically this day. A feast, therefore, that spreads out, dilates, to encompass us all and bring us to that moment, in which these friends saw the Lord detach himself from earth, to ascend into heaven. A very important feast for Christianity of yesterday, but fundamental for today's Christianity. A celebration that Jesus in his revelation to Mary Josephine Norcia on August 28, 1994, tells us that it is the first feast of the three most beautiful feasts of heaven, which would be followed by the second, even more beautiful feast, of Mary's Assumption into heaven of Mary Most Holy, and which will be followed by the feast that we are all waiting, the most beautiful feast of all, the feast that will take place when all is accomplished, when peace will be stable over all the earth. When, as Jesus says exactly in this revelation, heaven will be on earth. How beautiful! The entire universe, says Jesus, prepares this great feast, because it will be the feast of all my people, subtracted finally from the enslavement of the enemy, who will no longer be able to harm anyone. This I promise to that innocent maiden. This I engraved in her heart. Her faith in my love, has made it possible for me to realize my white island. Her love for my cradle will bring to completion this great plan, willed by the Father, entrusted to my love and, his sacrifice for your salvation. Because that is what it is all about, of salvation. Everything you see and hear, from and through this church, is for salvation of humanity. For that part of humanity, who realizes that in the world there are too many things that are not right, who realize, that every day a flood of nonsense is being propagated, that has never been seen. A part of humanity, that realizes that things are not the same as before. But don't go off on personal crusades, but they have the strength to continue to believe in God. To rely on God, to hope in God. Praying to God that He will put this world in order. And this church and this mystery is God's answer to these prayers, to these hopes, to these expectations. And to those, who doubt of this affirmation, who doubt of this mystery, who doubt of Maria Giuseppina Norcia, who doubt of this church, its members, I ask, but if you had been alive 2,000 years ago, what would you have done? If you had been present in the synagogue, in which Jesus said, "Today these words have been fulfilled," what would you have thought? Would you have believed, or you would have joined the group of those who wanted to take him on the mountain, to throw him off the cliff? If you had been present, during those years, while it was said, that he was an impostor, that Jesus and his friends were a cult, that healed by the power of Satan, would you have believed these words, or you would have denied them with all your might? If you had been alive, at the time of the resurrection, would you have thought that truly the Lord had risen, or would you have thought that his followers had rolled the stone away from the sepulchre? Easy to believe today to certain truths, with 2,000 years of the history of Christianity, and saints and martyrs who have brought forth this faith, but that was the novelty to be embraced in that time, and was far from obvious, and was far from easy. Here are these friends, these apostles, who perhaps, were not the best men in the world. They were not the most perfect, the most holy, the most learned, the wisest, but they had something, that God seeks in every one of his sons, heart, faith, abandonment. They were able to completely reset millennia of culture, to embrace the novelty. Because in that moment, salvation came from embracing and recognizing that newness. Just as today's salvation comes from embracing this newness. Here is the importance of understanding that one cannot grasp the newness of God, reasoning only with one's own mind. One has to reset so many things. Entrust, rely on, believe in God. The tree speaks by its fruits. Here is the importance of even this great celebration, not only for that moment in which the Lord ascends to heaven, but especially for what is being narrated in the Acts of the Apostles immediately after. That is the part that the Christianity of today must grasp, to understand and embrace this novelty. Having said this, he was elevated high, under their eyes. And a cloud withdrew him from their gaze. And because they were gazing at the sky as he went away, behold, two men in white robes, came to them and said, "Men of Galilee, why are you looking up to the sky? This Jesus who was from among you assumed up to heaven, will return one day, in the same way in which you saw him go to heaven." And thanks to the revelations that Jesus made to the woman of God, we can also know not only the point of view of those who were witnesses of that event, but also the point of view of the person directly concerned, of what Jesus lived. Then was my ascension to heaven, and while I drew nearer and nearer to my Father, I looked at the earth, receding, and saw in a moment, all its future history. I saw my children persecuted and killed. I saw my children begging the mercy of the Father. I saw a corner, in a land far from the place where I had lived. I saw a maiden playing in a meadow. I saw myself infant, and then a cradle. I saw two daughters dear to my heart, and then a crowd, a people coming and praying at the foot of a cradle, that no longer resembled the manger where I was laid, newly born. All I saw as I ascended to heaven. A cloud took him away. Took him to heaven in another cloud, on June 13th this maiden. Thanks to this young maiden, who was able to receive him, and made it possible, as Jesus told us, her faith in my love, made it so that I could realize this white island. Her faith and her love, have allowed all this. Have made it possible for the Lord to bring a piece of heaven on earth. A piece of paradise in this land that we call, land of love. A land to which all men and all women must draw on, if they want to find salvation, if they want to find peace, true love, true grace, the true rebirth from above, the true resurrection of the soul, the true ascent. Only here it is possible to ascend with the Lord. To reach the Father and to reach the Son you have to cross that door, Mary, that brings to the Son who is grafted in the Father, so that everyone can embrace the only faith that saves, Christ, way, truth, and life. And all this, God gives it through this, His church. Through this His house, through this, His dwelling place. Your heart be not troubled, have faith in God and have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwellings, if not, I might have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you. When I have gone and have prepared a place for you, I will return and receive you unto me, so that where I am, you may also be. So that where I am, you may also be. So that where I am, you may also be. Here is the place. You have found it. The place prepared in time by the Lord, aware that apostasy would come to the place that was holy and holy is no longer. Aware that the abomination of desolation would come. There where it was not convenient for it to be, but unfortunately it has reached in totality. The Lord has prepared in time the safe haven, the holy mountain, where He says to all peoples, come peoples of the earth. Come to find true faith, come to find Christ and Mary, and reach the Father and then to the eternal joy. This is the truth, my children. Here in this place I will return to reap the fruits of my passion. This is my kingdom. Warn all my daughter, warn all my children not to look elsewhere, not to listen to the siren song, not to be seduced by those who use my name. Give me the chance that day to thank you for your love. The love that you have been able to arouse for me, for you and your brothers. Then, only then will my heart rest. Here is the place of God's rest, as it has already been said weeks ago. Here is the place where the Lord says to all, come to refresh yourselves, come for I will give you a new spirit. I will give a new heart. Embrace this truth, because it is the truth that leads to life, to true life. Here is the beauty of even this feast. Of this movable feast, that moves, always 40 days after Easter. This year grafted between May 15th and May 19th. Here is the Ascension and the announcement of the modalities of the return of the Lord, grafted between Mary of the New Jerusalem and Christianity that heals. Grafted between Mary of the New Jerusalem and Mary, that heals. And together with her, must heal all of Christendom. As we heard last night, our pontiff reminds us of those words of the moment when Jesus healed Mary Josephine Norcia. See, to me nothing is difficult, he who asks obtains, he who loves will be loved back. Here is this humanity that must return to re-establish contact with God. That must return to re-love God in totality, to be re-loved. Christendom that must heal, from so many things, from this apathy, from this justifying everything and everyone, from this addiction to any absurdity. And this healing can only take place in God. And so come on brothers, high spirit, high heart, smile your heart, today must be in celebration for this moment, in celebration for the awareness of what you have found, the treasure. You who have climbed that ladder, and more you come closer to that infinite treasure, here you will live in eternity. Help everyone, have in you that fighting spirit of Saint Michael, present on May 15th. Have in you that spirit of sacrifice, present in Saint Misha, companion of May 19th. Have in you this way of living God, of relating with others, to bring this treasure, in order that one may be witnesses, true witnesses of this true faith. You have already been clothed with power from above, by the will of the Father, in the name of the Son and by the work of the Holy Spirit. Bring everyone here, announce to everyone, graft everyone into this house on this third day, in this third millennium, and tell everyone that God has returned, and taken us by the hand and brought us out to this new Bethany. Bethany, which translated from Hebrew means house. Who took us out into this new house. Manifest the love of God. Manifest the love of Christ and Mary, so that everyone, coming, may convert and rejoice, together with you. And with one heart, and with one voice, all of us can shout, Father, all for you, Father, in you we trust, Father, in you we want to live, Father, in your Son we want to win. And so be it.